it's pretty clear that despite the fact that Donald Trump has cratered, Republican, their brand has cratered, the Democratic brand has not recovered, and it's because
what are you talking about? What is the Democratic
trust.
Approval rating? Come on, be honest, brother. Come on, what's the Democratic approval rating and what's Donald Trump's? Come on, man.
That's Scott Jennings breaking into laughter as a CNN hack tries to convince people Trump's approval is collapsing when the real story is Democrats sinking fast. It's the same tired script. Pretend the bottom is falling out for Republicans while their own numbers are in free fall. Welcome to Nerk News. I'm Nerkish, and it looks like the establishment media has reached a new level of denial. Because when Democrats are drowning in terrible polling, their solution is to pretend Republicans are the ones going under. You know, they can't admit people are sick of their radical nonsense. I mean, they'd rather bend the numbers into pretzels than face reality. Here's Scott Jennings calling out the nonsense with actual polling data.
There's a reason why Republicans are rigging the rules right now so that they can steal a couple of extra seats going into the 2026 midterms. But that has nothing to do with what Democrats need to do in terms of rebuilding trust with the public. And I think the opportunity is there for them to do that. And the urgency to do that is right now.
Let me just correct one issue. Donald Trump is not cratered. If anybody's cratered, the Democratic Party, 33% in the Wall Street Journal poll. There's another one where they're at 19%. Trump at worst is in the mid-40s. The Republican brand is in a lot absolutely position than the Democratic brand. That's number one. Number two, you're absolutely right about the Republicans or the voters who only vote for Trump. I'm not sure they consider themselves to be members of either party. And it is imperative that the Republicans convert them into regular votes time and again. So I would say, honestly, Jessica, this is project number one for the Republican Party for the midterms, is you have to make an argument. If you like Donald Trump and you turned out for Donald Trump, if the Democrats win in November, it's all going to go away. All the progress that you're for is going to stop if Democrats win the election. That's probably the best argument they have. And the only person who can really make it is Trump himself. And I suspect he's going to have his shoulder to the wheel for the midterm.
And Jessica, let me just say, I would love if Donald Trump said, if you like Donald Trump, vote for Republicans next year. Scott, please tell your friends at the NRSC and NRCC to tell them to say that, please.
All right, Scott, Joel.
I'm sure they will, but I gotta ask. Do you admit that the Democrats have at best 33 and probable more like 19% approval rating? Do you admit you've seen the polling, or you didn't see it before you came on?
I saw the polling, and I'd be concerned that Democrats still have a plus 5% chance in ballot choice next year, even with that polling. So I'd be really concerned if I was a Republican.
You know, Jennings points out what the numbers really show: political stability, which is a far cry from the fantasy Democrats and their lackeys in establishment media keep trying to push, where Trump voters are suddenly abandoning him in droves. That's just not happening. And if you actually stack those numbers against liberals' favorability right now, Trump looks stronger by the day. Jennings exposes the game. They cherry pick a poll here or a chart there and hope you never notice the broader trend. Here he is driving it home by stacking Trump against the Democrats' favorite political idols.
Scott, we had a Democratic congresswoman on in the last hour who said something similar, in that this is all about distraction, because there are these unpopular legislation and other things. What do you say to that?
Well, he's more popular at this point in his second term than Barack Obama was in his, and he's more popular today than Joe Biden was in his. And so I disagree. I don't think Donald Trump's all that unpopular by historical standards, recent historical standards. And at the same time, I don't agree that his agenda is unpopular. I think the big, beautiful bill is going to help people all over the country, and it invested in ICE agents so that we can continue to crack down on the immigration problem. I think Democrats here are squealing because a Republican president is showing up in blue cities, places that have been run for decades by Democrats, that are overrun with violent crime and overrun with illegal immigration, and they've done nothing about it. And even worse, they have encouraged it with soft-on-crime local policies. And so the real issue here is political. It's just that Democrats are being exposed as being crappy at running big cities, and Donald Trump is showing up to show the people there, hey, it doesn't have to be this way. And oh, by the way, if we bring down the rates of violence and the rates of illegal immigration, that'll be a great thing to go along with it.
This part is brutal because it takes the tired Democrat argument that Trump is historically unpopular and flips it on its head. I mean, it's funny how Democrats pretend their guys were beloved at lower poll numbers than this, but when it's Trump, it means his support is cratering and the party is underwater. I mean, the establishment media only calls it a crisis when it fits their narrative. When it's their team, it's just a rough patch. The reality is Trump's support has held firm despite non-stop media warfare, while Democrats can't hold on to independents or their own base. And now even CNN's Harry Enden is forced to admit the cracks are showing. Here he is spelling out how Trump is gaining ground even with Democrats and disaffected liberals.
Look, the Democratic brand right now has about the appeal with the American voter as the Cracker Barrel rebrand has with the American consumers. Bad, bad, bad. What are you doing? Oh, my goodness gracious. What are we talking about here in terms of big party registration changes in the key swing states? Let's look at the key 4 swing states that, in fact, do keep track of registration by party. Look, the Republican Party is in their best position at this point in the cycle since at least 2005. In all 4 of these key battleground states, we go out to the Southwest. Arizona. How about Nevada? Republicans haven't done this well since 2005. Oh, my goodness gracious, at this point in the cycle. North Carolina, I couldn't find a point at which Republicans were doing better at this point in the cycle. It's at least this century. It probably goes way back in the last century. And Pennsylvania, very similar. Republicans doing better at this point than at any point this century, at least as far as I could find. Now, what types of gains are we talking about here for the Republican Party? Well, let's compare it to this point during the first Trump administration all the way back in 2017. Look at this. The Republican Party gains in party registration compared to this point back in 2017 during the Trump first administration. In Arizona, you got a Republican gain of 3 points. Okay, how about Nevada? Up the hill we go, even though we're sticking in the Southwest. A gain of 6 points. How about, again, we come to the East Coast, North Carolina, a gain of 8 points for the Republicans. And in the Keystone State, in the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania, again, we're talking about a gain of 8 points. My goodness gracious, for Republicans, they are converting old former Democrats to their side of the ledger, as well as picking up new voters, registering new voters, and it absolutely paid off for them back in the 2024 election.
You know, it's becoming clear that regardless of what Democrats are saying, Trump isn't losing support, he's expanding it. I mean, more liberals are shifting toward Trump because they've had enough of Bidenomics, censorship, and the activist agenda. Jennings laughed because he knows the media can't spin this forever. The cracks are undeniable, and even CNN has to put them on air. What we're seeing is exactly why Democrats are panicking. Trump is turning their so-called 50-50 country into an 80-20 issue. And independents, working class voters, and even some people in their own base are siding with him. But let me know what you think. Is Jennings exposing the collapse of media spin once and for all, or will CNN keep playing pretend until November? Let me know in the comments, and if you enjoyed this video, please give it a like and subscribe to the channel. That stuff really does help us out. Until then, this has been Nerk News. Thanks for watching. Bye!